Hi, I'm Officer Stephanie Conboy, Community Liaison Officer with the Prospect Heights, Illinois Police Department. My password today is Sunset. I am here to talk to you today about our Community Youth Outreach Program and what you can do to contribute to this thriving program. Our program focuses on at-risk youth in our community. Our at-risk youth tend to live on our east side of town that is largely made up of Hispanic immigrant families. These kids are defined as at risk by struggling academically, having high crimes in their neighborhood, financial hardships within the family, very limited English proficiency, and lack of recreational activities. Our program is designed to form a positive interaction between law enforcement and their children as well as their families. So they can see us as not so much the enemy that's out to get them, but people they can come to and that will help them in their struggle. We made up a team, and why we did is because it can sometimes take a village to raise a child. Our village consists of school and police department social workers that help identify struggling families, police officers that donate their time to volunteer on their off time for events and field trips, as well as citizens in our town that have donated their time as well to chaperone field trips and events. A lot of these children come from homes that are rundown apartments. They live in 2-bedroom apartments filled with family members, most of the time strangers, that have a mattress on the dining room floor to help supplement the rent for their parents. Their parents are either a one-parent household or both are working 2 to 3 jobs and they're shift workers, which leaves the kids alone a lot of the time to take care of themselves. The oldest sibling has a tendency to take on the parental role. We have found kids skipping school to help with the younger siblings while the parents can go to work. We have also found a lot of these homes unfortunately have a high rate of sexual molestation, child abuse, alcoholism, drug abuse, and domestic violence. They have all that going on in their home. They step out of their house and they have gang members that are trying to recruit them into their gang. They go to school and they have their peers that are harassing them as being too white because they don't want to be part of that gang. What we try and do is give them that support, that it's going to be okay and that you don't have to join that gang. There were 2 ways that I found to get through to my children that were struggling. I became an officer in 2005 and a state of Illinois certified juvenile officer in 2008, and I started my role as a school resource officer in our local high school. Our high school also largely consisted of a Hispanic population. Now you may look at me and think, how does this white blonde suburban girl possibly know to empathize or how to get through or understand what a Hispanic teen is going through? There are 2 ways I can do that. First of all, I wanted to understand their family culture. And I did that by speaking with my aunt, who's Hispanic and a social worker, and she suggested I read an autobiography by Raimundo Sanchez called My Bloody Life, The Making of a Latin King. Raimundo talked about coming to America at 5 from Puerto Rico after suffering horrific abuse, coming to Chicago and not having family support, a stepfather that beat him, step-siblings that didn't accept him. He found his acceptance in becoming a Latin King gang member. He found that unconditional love in brotherhood by getting thrown nice clothes if you do our drug dealing and our drive-by shootings. What he wanted to get out is there is a way to get out. He was beat out, and that's their way of blessing that you can move on with your life. But he didn't want another kid to fall into these steps and talked of lack of programs. The other way I get through to my kids is authenticity and letting them know that I genuinely know what it's like to not know your place in the world. See, I didn't grow up Leave It to Beaver. I didn't have a house and a white picket fence. I had a mom, as a single mom, that struggled working 2 to 3 jobs, a high-functioning alcoholic father that was not around when we were kids, and my brother and I were home, a lot, doing stuff for ourselves at a younger age. Making our own dinners, cleaning, getting sure we had rides to our practices and sports. We were lucky enough, though, that my mom on her days off and the small time she got to have with us was spent doing fun adventures and excursions to show us more than where we were living. And my maternal grandparents who instilled more rules and stability and normalcy into our lives. And if we didn't have that, we would never know that there is a better life than this, that life can go a different direction. And that's a lot of what these kids are going through. They don't have that kind of support. So that's what we try and give them. The Journal of Juvenile Justice did a 5-year study to show the difference of having a school resource officer in the school, as well as outreach programs for kids, and found a 98% increase of positive attitudes and not going into a life of crime when kids knew that you cared and gave you that outreach program. So this year, we are trying a whole different way of this program. We are keeping one tradition, which is Government Day, and that takes the kids to meet the officers and the firemen. They get lunch cooked by the firemen, which they are supreme grillers. They will also meet the mayor at City Hall, and we get to travel the town on our bikes. Our second one will be a team building trusting experience at Camp Duncan, which is obstacle courses. We are also instilling a group leader this year, which will be one of the oldest kids in our programs, to guide and be a role model to their younger siblings and peers. They will also receive a letter of recommendation and community service from us for their college applications. The fun side of it is getting to go to the Chicago Fire soccer game. We also have an educational side on a Chicago cruise tour of Lake Michigan that will take them through the locks and take them down the Chicago River. Then we get the real fun part, Wrigley Field, home of our beloved Cubs. Well, at least my beloved Cubs. And they will get to tour the stadium. Again, this is stuff these kids would never get to experience. And the support of our sponsors, because we do run off donations, is what allows us to give these kids this kind of experience. The volunteers, and that's the best way we can get help, through your time, or we're open to donations. And we thank our small businesses that have helped us as well. All kids deserve a good future, and I hope I can help you help us give our children that opportunity. Thank you.